What's going on, guys? Austin here, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at the extra points recap of the NBA semifinal games. So first series I'm going to be talking about is the Boston Celtics over the Milwaukee Bucks. This was a game that featured what I would consider the coming out party of Jason Tatum, because this is the first time where you could reasonably say that he went head to head with a player that was better than him in, most people's eyes, and the Celtics won because of him. A lot of the wins that the Celtics have had in previous playoff series, it's been against lower competitive ranked teams, or he'll lose to better players like Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, or he'll lose to LeBron, or he'll lose, whoever it is. This is the first time where, Jason Tatum has been able to look across the guy on the other side, been like, you might think you're better, but I'm going to beat you today. Some of this has to do with the fact that the Celtics have a great overall defense that helped on everybody but Giannis. Drew had his own moments, and he played really well, but nonetheless, this Boston Celtics team looks poised to stay for several years. I didn't really believe in them. I'm not a fan of Tatum, and to me, I'm going to need more than this one playoff series to see what they can do. And moving forward in this season right here is going to be a big tell in how much faith I have in him moving forward. But just overall, game one, Giannis and Drew stole it in Boston with, a nice stat line, 50 points, 17 assists, 22 rebounds. Tatum and Brown come back with 60 points, 15 assists, and 9 boards. Then again in game three, Bucks come back to win in Milwaukee. Giannis has his amazing 42.8 assists, 12 rebound game. And this was the game that I believe, going down to the last seconds or so, the Bucks were up 103-101. They missed the free throw. The Celtics did on purpose to try to get it, put it back in and tie the game. And the shot went in. It's just the ball was still in. I don't remember whose hand it was. It might have been Horford or Tice when the shot went up. So now the Celtics have the Bucks have a 2-1 lead. And then in game four, the Celtics tie up the series with Horford's 30-point game on 14 shots, which this was the game where, Giannis came in, he was, kind of jawing at him a little bit. And then, Horford, he did that little scowl and then like, oh, okay. And it was really interesting because normally you're not like thinking, to be afraid of upsetting Al Horford, but he ended up going off, especially in the second half. And I bet the Bucks kind of wish that he hadn't. In game five, Giannis comes back to Boston, drops 40 points and 11 rebounds. In game six, he has an even better game with 44 points and 20 rebounds. But Tatum drops 46 points, 4 assists, and 9 rebounds as the Celtics managed to take game six in Milwaukee. So now there's a winner-take-all, game seven. Amazing series up until this point. And we've got this game seven in Boston that did not live up to any sort of expectation. I mean, the Bucks were dead from 10 minutes into the first quarter. Giannis, he put up his 25 and 20, but it didn't really mean much even by halftime. Overall, Giannis had his 34 points, 7.1 assists, and 14 rebounds, 14.7 rebounds, which is easily the best stat line. In second, though, Tatum has, 27.6 points, 5.4 assists, and 6.3 rebounds. So Giannis just across the board is an amazing player, but the way that Tatum was hitting his shots and the amount of threes that he took, I didn't think he could be that efficient on that high of volume of a three-point shooter. But he really showed out. And then Brown, he had 22 points, 3.6 assists, and 7.3 rebounds. Overall, a very interesting series. And I wouldn't say I'm looking forward because I'm not a huge fan of the Celtics, but it's definitely going to be something to watch, because if the Boston Celtics, come for the title, and, is there a claim for Tatum to say that he's the best player in the world? Because to me right now, you've got Giannis 1, Luka 2, LeBron 3, and then that fourth spot, it's kind of open. Is it KD? Is it Steph? Is it Tatum? Is it, somebody else? Is it Embiid? Tatum could really feel like he deserves to leapfrog a couple people if he leads the Celtics team to a title. Now, the next series that I want to go over, we're going to stay in the East, and we're going to talk about the Miami Heat beating on the Philadelphia 76ers. This series went a little longer than I thought it would. I thought that Philadelphia might win one game, but I really thought that Miami was going to be able to dispatch them well, because the way that they were able to deploy Dedmon and Bam and PJ Tucker defensively on, switching back and forth between Joel Embiid once he got into the series and Tobias Harris. I think the defensive versatility of those three guys was so underrated looking at this matchup between these two teams. Jimmy Butler had an amazing series, didn't really kick off until game 3. Game 1 started out with Adebayo and Hero going for 49 points, 11 assists, and 13 rebounds. In game 2, the game plan was really interesting for the Heat. They were pretty much just letting Maxey score and then, doubling James Harden and making sure that nobody was getting open 3-point shots. Maxey scored 34 points, but there were 4 Heat players that scored 18 plus points. And so, the Heat have a 2-0 series lead as Joel Embiid enters the series. But unfortunately, he really didn't even enter the series. Like he never came out. I think he only had one game over 20 points. And obviously, you've got the orbital fracture. It's gonna bother you. But we've seen players play through those kinds of injuries. The kind of injuries to the face that guys like LeBron, Rip Hamilton, Kyrie, Kobe, that they've all faced. The mask type player. And I was really expecting something from Joel Embiid, but the Heat just said no. In game 3, you can tell when the Heat are starting to lose a game when Jimmy Butler starts taking all these shots. And Jimmy Butler dropped 33, but they lost. Tyrese Maxey and Danny Green combined for 14 of 20 from 3, which is absolutely insane. Game 4, Butler ups the ante, scores 40. Harden answers with his own 31, 9, and 7. He was just hitting so many shots from 3. James Harden was in that game. In game 5, we had 3 Heat players that were ridiculously efficient from 3. It's supposed to say 8 of 16 to beat the 76ers from 3. So this game, it was a lower scoring game. And when you have 3 guys who normally don't shoot for volume go for 8 of 16 together, you don't want to have to give up 24 points on threes to non-shooters, plus Strus, who was the best shooter of these 3. And the 76ers, nobody could get anything together. I don't know if anybody even had 20 points. And then in game 6, Butler won the series with 32, 4, and 8. Philly gave up early. It was a great lead that the Heat had for a while, and then they slowly chipped away at it when the Heat were pretty much playing prevent defense. You can tell in the series, Butler really took over. He had 27.5 points, 5.5 assists, 7.5 rebounds. James Harden with, his nice balanced stat line at, 18.2 points, 7 assists, and 6.3 rebounds. And then Tyrese Maxey, who was the leading scorer for the 76ers, had 20 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds. Overall, I really believe in the Heat. I think they have the best combination of depth scoring, of superstar power with Jimmy Butler. I think they have the best 1 through 5, whoever you want to put on the starting 5. Obviously, Kyle Lowry's injured right now, but if you want to put, Gabe Vincent in there, and then Victor Oladipo and Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, whoever you want to throw in there, and then either, Dwayne Dedman or Bam Adebayo and PJ Tucker, whatever combination of those guys, whoever you want, probably the best 1 through 5 left in the East, especially maybe even the league, just kind of depending on how you feel about Golden State's 5. Speaking of Golden State, let's take a look at the Warriors win over the Memphis Grizzlies. So game 1 was an insane performance from Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. It was the first time that those two players had ever combined for 30-plus points in the same game. They scored 67 points collectively, but Jordan Poole dropped 31, and obviously, when your third best splash brother is dropping 31 points, you're in trouble. In game 2, in Memphis, by the way, Memphis had home field advantage. Ja dropped 47 to tie this series before it heads to Golden State. In game 3, the Warriors made 17 out of their 32 three-point shots, and they ended up blowing by Memphis in this game. And in game 4, Steph had 32 points, which gave the Warriors a 3-1 lead. And then after Memphis absolutely demolished the Warriors in game 5, you thought, oh no, there's no way this happens. This would kind of be hilarious. There were 3 players from Memphis that scored over 21 points, which is a pretty good average. Not pretty good average, but that's pretty good depth. 3 players at over 20. And then in game 6, something that I don't think anybody saw coming, but game 6, Klay showed up. He went 8 of 14 from 3. And Draymond went for 14 points, 8 assists, and 15 rebounds as they locked in that series in 6 games. Overall, Steph was the best Warrior. Ja, obviously the best Grizzly, maybe the best player in the series if he would have played more games. But Steph had 26 points, 5.8 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. Ja had 38.3 points, 8.3 assists, and 7.6 rebounds. And then Draymond Green, with his 6.3 points, he had 6 assists, which led the Warriors, and 8.7 rebounds, which also led the Warriors. I believe that if the Warriors want to make the finals again with Steph Curry as the best player and win the finals again with Steph Curry as the best player, this is the time, because I don't know how good Klay is going to be another year older after all these injuries, and Jordan Poole could be coming for the best player, for the title of best player on this team. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. This Warriors team, remember, they made the finals for the first time back in 2015, and then again in 16, and then again in 17, and then again in 18. And then again in 19, 20 and 21 go by, and now they have the chance to do it again in 22. That is a long time and a lot of games for this group that has amazingly stayed together this whole time. But it'll be interesting to see, what kind of legacy play that the Warriors have left in them. And the last series, the one that got wrapped up after the rest of them, Dallas Mavericks over the Phoenix Suns. So Luka in this series was phenomenal, very 2007 LeBron-esque. He dropped 45 in game 1, but the Suns had 4 players scoring over 17 points. In game 2, Booker and CP3 went for 58 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds on 63, 60, 100 shooting splits. 63 from the field, 60 from 3, and 100 from the free throw line, which is ridiculous. Then in game 3, we had 5 Suns score 12-plus points, but we saw them lose to Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson's 54 points, 14 assists, and 17 rebounds. As the series turned to Dallas, every single home team was winning games, leading up to that infamous game 7. Dallas's defense was otherworldly in Dallas. In game 4, Dorian Finney-Smith went 8 of 12 from 3, which, was good enough to move past Booker's 35 points. Not only were the Dallas Mavericks incredibly good defensively at home, but their three-point shooting was also ridiculously improved at home. In Game 5, back in Phoenix, Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton scored 48 as the Mavs struggled offensively. In Game 6, we had 4 Mavs score 15 points to force a Game 7. So now the series goes back to Phoenix. And a lot like the Bucks versus the Celtics, the Suns versus the Mavs disappointed because this game was over within the first 5 minutes as Luka scored 8 points and the Suns scored 0. In the first half, Luka had as many points as the entire Suns team. In this game, he out-everythinged the big three in Phoenix. Dinwiddie, Brunson, and Doncic went for 89. And this Game 7 was the first road win of the series. Luka scored more points than Devin Booker in this series. He collected more rebounds than DeAndre Ayton in this series. He dished out more assists than CP3 in this series. And he got more steals than Cam Johnson in this series. Now, I don't know if you guys realize how ridiculous that is. But Devin Booker was the leading scorer on the number 1 team, 4th in the MVP voting. Okay. CP3, the point guard, the best passer in the league. Enough said. DeAndre Ayton, number 1 overall pick at center, and Cam Johnson, defensive player of the year, third voting. Jalen Brunson in the series was excellent. He had 18.7 points, 2.9 assists, and 4.4 rebounds. We had 5 Mavs shoot 45% from 3, not including the 2 guys, Luka and Brunson, who had amazing series. And then Luka with the LeBron-esque 33 points, 7 assists, and 10 rebounds per game. In year 4, LeBron James carried the bum Cleveland Cavaliers to an NBA Finals through the Detroit Pistons, who were an amazing team that had been to, I believe, 6 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals, 1-time champions, 2-time Eastern Conference champions. LeBron blew through them, and Luka Doncic has the chance to, if he moves past this Golden State Warriors team, who a little bit better pedigree, but very similar stature to those old Pistons teams that LeBron had to move through. If Luka Doncic can move through, he will be on pace to have the same type of career that LeBron had, possibly, at least offensively, even better. So that's going to be something that'll be really interesting to look for in the future. And now we have my predictions for the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference Finals. Coming up next, I have the Warriors beating the Mavericks in 6. I just don't think that the Mavericks have the ability to stop the shooting depth that the Warriors have. The Warriors have, 2 guys that can get their own shot in Jordan Poole and Steph Curry. They have another elite spot-up shooter in Klay Thompson. They have an overall amazing defense. The new thing we have is the Magic Johnson and the Larry Bird Finals and Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals MVP trophies, which is great. In the West, I don't care what y'all think. The MVP is going to be Draymond Green because he's going to bring Luka Doncic back to earth. I believe that Luka will end up scoring somewhere around 25, 26 points. 7 assists, 7 rebounds, which is a pretty great stat line, but not when in the previous series, it was 33, 9 and 10 or whatever it was. He'll be out playing amazing defense. And then in the Eastern Conference, I've got the Heat in 5. I really think that they have the ability to play better defense than the Milwaukee Bucks did. Plus, Jimmy Butler has that type of high-end production that you could match Tatum tit for tat, plus the depth that you have offensively the shooters. Bam Adebayo. You've got Tyler Hero that can get his own shot. Victor Oladipo that can get his own shot. And the defense is very, very close to the Celtics. It's not the best in the league, but it's very close. The MVP of that series is going to be Jimmy Butler. He'll have 31 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, a block. And the reason mainly he's going to be MVP is he's going to be hitting so many clutch shots, towards the end of games that it's going to be obvious that he is taking these games over, which would lead to a matchup of Warriors and Heat in the finals, which we'll preview the finals once we get there. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure to be on the lookout for all of our future content. Like and subscribe, and let me know what you thought about this video in the comments down below.